Hey guys, in today's video we figured out a better way of doing the barbed wire fence, and our little friend Bonnie will be revealed in this video.
Hey, if you're new to our channel, I'm Keri and this is Doug, and we sold everything we owned in May of 2022, including our house in Denver, Colorado, and we bought property here in Southeast Arizona, Cochise County, and we're starting a homestead. So we'd love for you to follow along. We're going to be learning a lot as we go, and we hope you find the information we share valuable. Good morning. Today we're working on the front fence line, and Doug and I are wearing these mosquito netting things because it's bug season, I guess, and the gnats and the mosquitoes are going to be bad for another month, and then apparently they go away. So we're working on our spacing on the front, and like we said before, we're actually going to do 7 wires along the front to make it more secure against things that might try to get in, mostly animals. And we're using this stick kind of as our guide. We have it marked off, and we switched out the clips that we've been using. We were using the standard fencing clips, but now we're using these, they're Bekaert brand, which is the same brand of barbed wire that we used, and they look like that shape. And to use these, you have to have this Bekaert drill chuck part number, and it shows the part number on there, and that chuck goes into the drill. It's kind of funky looking, but basically you wrap this clip around the post, and then you pinch the ends together and stick the ends inside this drill chuck, and then you just drill it, and it's really easy. So we're gonna show you how much faster this is than what we've been doing. So Doug's got that clip. He wraps it around the back, and he puts one side under the barbed wire and the other side over the barbed wire, pinches it together, puts it in the chuck, and magic. And it holds it pretty tight. So what we've also discovered, wherever we're going to terminate these, meaning wherever the end of our barbed wire is when we're wrapping it around the post, we're also putting in one of these clips facing that way. And then what we do is we come around and do it the other way. So it would go on this way, and the ends would be sticking out over here. But when we stick it in, we're going to go under and then over, which is the exact opposite of what this one is. Pinch it together, drill it shut, and that really holds this wire nice and tight. So when we go to cut it after we've tied it off, it's not shifting really. So we're doing that with the last 2 posts before we terminate. So just what we found is really helpful, and we're using the fence stretcher also, and that really is making it nice and tight and much easier to work with and super fast. So Doug just did the second one, and this is our second from the end pole. Our roll of wire ran out, so it goes down here, and then we'll do the same thing on this post to keep that nice and tight, and then we cut the wire there between that post and the fence stretcher, tie it off, and then start another wire or another roll. These clips, honestly, they're kind of like magic, because the other ones you really have to manhandle them, and when the rows of barbed wire are really close together, those traditional T-post clips are just a challenge. So we really like these. Highly recommend them. All right, so he got that second clip put on, and he's going to cut the wire. Yeah, hold on. I like to move out of the way just in case something malfunctions. All right, so that keeps it nice and tight, and then he just wraps it several times around the post.
Like the gloves?
Oh yeah, we got different kinds of gloves. Doug's are kind of more suede, and mine are more, I don't know, they're like smooth kind of hide. They have reinforced hands, and I don't know if these are like heavy duty. They might be barbed wire gloves, because I don't have any problem with them ripping. I don't know what brand they are, but they work really good with barbed wire and prickly things. Doug's have been shredded, so although he is doing more of the barbed wire work than I am as far as like tying things off and unrolling it, so he's exposed to it more, but he ended up kind of mending them with duct tape. We need to get another pair for him. But until then, duct tape does the trick. That's a happy dog. Will's having a ball. Zoe's stuck on her leash. Oh. So we've got, this is the end of the row right here, and Doug's gonna go ahead and cut the line, but I'm gonna back up, and that's why. There's a lot of tension on that. So by the time we were done with our 6th row, this pole had really started to slouch over. So we are running the 7th strand of wire. Doug is making his way down with the roll. The fence is a little bit loose here at this end because as the fence has gotten tighter, this first T-post has started to list a little bit. But what we've discovered when we made our gabion baskets on the other part of the fence is that it will tighten it up, and then when we add the fence stays, it usually takes up the rest of the slack. So Doug's making his way down. He's going to actually tie it off on that end post right there, and then he will connect up the chain link fence stretcher, and we'll show you an up close of that because it's a really weird tool. It works really well once you figure out how to use it, but it's not very intuitive, so we'll show you how we use that. That's also a Bekaert brand. So Doug came down with the 7th roll, and the reason we're doing, or 7th strand, the reason we're doing 7 strands on this front fence is that we, it's really to kind of keep out dogs that could be in the area, because there's just a lot of people in the neighborhood have dogs, so that we figured if they're going to try to come in, it's probably going to be the front or possibly up one of the sides. So we also did 7 strands in on the top side of the property. We did that about, I don't know, 200 feet in, and we'll do that on this side too, because if dogs or javelina or things like that are going to try, or coyotes even, are going to try to come in, that's the way they'd probably come. So this thing, it's 2 pieces. The first piece goes around your brace post.
Just so I can manage this thing.
So we're going to show you how Doug hooks up the chain fence grab, or the chain link fence grab.
No matter how much practice you get, it seems like this is just a pain.
Yeah.
But I just put this on here to get the chain off, and get the barbed wire off the ground.
Yeah.
So
that's wrapped around right there.
Around the cord. And then this catches the chain, and it's not the barbed wire that it runs up, it's the chain that it runs up. Which explains why it's really strong. But the problem is, there's no easy way of getting this on, so you just gotta practice.
So you gotta get the chain side on first, though.
Yep, you gotta get the chain side on.
There's some sweet looking gloves you got on there.
Oh yeah, look at that. So once you got that on, this little guy here kicks back, and then you put some of this in here and pull it forward on the tension. And like I said, this is just annoying, but I haven't perfected it yet, so.
So the wire goes in there. The wire goes in that small little triangle, and that's what tensions it.
Yeah, this thing. But it wants to come out all the time, so that's part of its. So.
Just unhooking the hook.
Yep, so now the hook's off, and now this is going to just climb up this ladder. So I basically try to help it because sometimes the links don't want to go in. See how it'll catch onto that link. And then the next one comes up to catch on to the next one, but sometimes these skew and they don't want to go where you want them to go. But basically, once you get in a good position, we can get it off the ground. And now we're gonna have to walk the entire length to make sure there's nothing snagged on it before I come back and crank on it some more.
All right. This is what we bought. This is Bonnie, the tractor. We bought an old tractor. It doesn't look old though because it's been refurbished. It is a Yanmar 2310D. I believe it's 28 horsepower. It came with a brand new 5-foot wide bucket or scoop. I don't know what you call that exactly. And then we decided to go ahead and add on a box grader. So this tractor was actually built, it's a Korean company that makes these. It's actually, back in the day, they also made the engines for John Deere tractors.
Correction, not Korea. Product of Japan.
Oh, Japan, sorry. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
And we don't
Japan.
buy, we try not to buy.
We try not to buy outside the US if possible, but after we started looking at tractors, you can buy a newer tractor, but the problem that we're going to run into is that, well, you can get them for cheap, but the reason that is why it is because it's really hard to get parts. So we decided to get an older tractor that has been totally refurbished. They put on like all new belts and hoses. They pressure tested the diesel engine. It's a 2-cylinder diesel. So it's a really basic engine. It'll be easy for us to work on. There's nothing digital about the gauges or anything. So
no EMPs, right?
Yeah, so that's a big deal for us. So they painted it. They put on a new seat. They put on a new canopy. Oh, brand new tires, which is actually pretty awesome because those tires are expensive. And it does come with a warranty. We bought it from, it actually ended up being a guy that does this in Arizona called Arizona Tractor Sales. I think it's just arizonatractorsales.com. And he buys these used and refurbishes them and resells them. He also has other brands of tractors that you can buy. We actually at first were looking at buying a brand new one. I can't remember the brand we were looking at, but it's from a local company, and it was just going to be a lot of money. And they only come with a 2-year warranty, so if something digital breaks on that thing, you're going to be out of luck. So anyway, we figured we could learn to work on this. You can still get the user's manuals, and they actually still make this brand. So it's not like an obsolete brand, and they're pretty well known for being good, solid tractors. The new ones we were looking at were the hobby-sized tractors. But this is a smaller, regular tractor. So anyway, we're having fun with it. We've done a lot of work with it so far, and it's really come in handy.
We did the math and we figured how much tractor work we've already done here. Obviously, the big mound up there, moving all that tonnage of earth and that could not be done with this, so we're not regretting hiring that guy to do that, Marty, but because we definitely needed it. But we did the math on doing swales, berms, grading the road, keeping our washes clear and everything. And after doing the math, we said in about 2 years' time, we would have bought a tractor anyways with the costs that we're paying, and fixing stuff and loading rocks around, moving stuff. We don't have too much timber to move around, but we do have lots of rocks. moving hay bales, all that good stuff. And you can buy attachments. The PTO on this is just like any other tractor. It can take adapters and the backhoe and all that. We didn't get the backhoe, which I would have liked to have gotten. However, that was an extra $6,000 that we don't have, so we're gonna do without. But this grader, I've only played with it a little bit on our driveway, and it's pulling up big rocks, and it seems to be doing a really good job at leveling the road. It's filling in the low spots, and it's knocking off the high spots and pulling out the big rocks, which we're using in our cairns. So we think we'll get our use. Like Keri said, we're definitely going to need to study the manual. Neither of us have owned a tractor before. There's a lot of special attention they need, and we need to really fine-tune that all, dial it in so that we don't break this sucker, because it's a very expensive purchase. But very expensive, but it's a good size, you know. It's not too big, not too small. I think it was, what, 28 horsepower? Mm-hmm. So it's amazing how tiny these diesel engines are. When you figure this whole thing is just motor, right? But you pop it open, it's just this tiny little diesel motor. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's got the safety rail on it. But these are called what were they called?
Oh, gray market.
Gray market tractors. So back in World War II and stuff like that, and like Vietnam, I think, was the big time. And this is an 86, I think.
Yeah.
But they've been making these for a while. But originally, the same motor that's in this was in John Deere tractors. So, and the newer John Deeres have their own line of motors. But back in the day when they were building these and building John Deeres, they actually had these motors were in the John Deere tractors. So it's pretty hefty. I mean, it's a beast. It's going to get the job done, but we're really happy to have it. We were going to build some other structures on the property, but we think that our first structure is actually going to be a tractor house for this little guy here.
So another big reason why we chose an older tractor is because there's this additive called DEF, which stands for diesel exhaust fluid. And what it is, it's something that the EPA requires any trucks manufactured from 2010 and on to put in. It helps with emissions and pollution. And we've heard from some people that the DEF that's being produced in the United States, I actually don't even know where it's produced, but that's available in the United States is either running very low or is going to run out. So apparently it would be difficult to run your diesel engine if you don't have the DEF. I guess there is some sort of modification that can be made by a mechanic that you can do, but we didn't want to have to mess with it at all. So that was another reason that we bought an older tractor.
Yep, that, and because it's not dependent upon digital, or it's not connected by Bluetooth to the internet, or it's not electronic whatsoever. So those EMPs can actually go off, and it won't affect this tractor at all, except maybe the ignition. But that can be rigged anyways by, like Keri said, by a mechanic. But anyhow, it's an old school tractor. It's not relied upon these new technologies set forth by the government, and we're hoping that it will still be kicking around when all these other modern vehicles and things are shut off whenever somebody wants them not to run anymore. All right, but anyhow, let's talk about sustainability a bit. A tractor in permaculture, this is not a sustainable item whatsoever. This is definitely something that would be outside. A lot of hardcore permaculturists, they believe that everything should be done manually and maybe done with animals, farm animals and that, but I'm not that hardcore. Keri's not that hardcore. We're gonna take it, we're getting in our older years, or midlife, whatever you want to call it, and we need to do things easier and not exactly, is what I'm getting at, is the sustainability of a tractor. It runs on diesel, right? Diesel might not always be around, so it's something that you have to put energy in. You have to come up with the money to buy the diesel, and you have to fill it. So this is definitely not one of those sustainability things on a permaculture farm, but we're going to do this just to get it all set up, and one day we might not need a tractor, you know, but in the meantime we feel that this is a great purchase.
Yeah, it doesn't burn very many gallons at a time. It's pretty efficient, but do you guys remember 25 years ago when diesel was cheaper than gas? Have you noticed that as the gasoline prices have gone down, the diesel prices have stayed the same?
Wonder why that is.
We've noticed that. So anyhow, we're just trying to do the right thing for ourselves right now, and maybe trying to work smarter, not harder.
And go old school when you can, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
The mechanics are much simpler back then. They can still be maintained and everything, but yeah, that's just a couple points we wanted to make.
Hey, thank you so much for following along with us today and sticking around to the end. If you haven't subscribed yet, we would be honored if you would. Make sure and like this video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, I don't know what to tell you. But make sure and give us a comment, and we will see you soon.